Hello, welcome to another Tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and welcome as well to Past Master Series number 9, John Francis Murphy. Quite a nice looking little study we are sharing with you today, and of course it's not that hard when you're making studies after the master, the past master, John Francis Murphy. Love this painting and really very happy with the way the study turned out. And what can I say? It would be great if a lot of my own stuff looked this good. Not saying my own stuff doesn't look good. I've had some pretty good paintings, especially in the last year or two, but this one's super great. And what can I say? What can I say? What I could say is that doing these studies has helped improve my own work, and it's a valuable exercise. And I'm actually, here we are in 9. I know I've got another 16 days, 16 weeks until I have to deal with the fact that, what the heck is that? A little SD card on the floor. Until I have to, see if I'm going to do anything. Well, I don't have 16 weeks. I probably have a few more, maybe a month or so before I have to decide what I'm going to do with the follow-up to this Past Master series. The thing is I love doing them. However, they take up time and space that I can't really spend on my own work, and I'm debating what I want to do. Maybe 20. Whatever I do, it probably won't be 25. I'm thinking maybe I'll do 10 or so, which is one of the reasons I left the title of the series open. Is called Past Master Series. So I could just do one a week, and keep the channel filled that way. As a matter of fact, interestingly, I've been very lazy with processing my actual video from my painting sessions. God knows when I did this. I probably painted this back in, I don't know, I can even tell you, I might have that information at my fingertips. If I had a date, I can tell you when I did this painting. It was back in October. So, maybe 6 months ago. Yeah. But I have just the constituent files there. I've actually just been barely staying ahead of my needs for the actual, the video that I'm going to be presenting on YouTube. And this is a YouTube exclusive too. I was sharing some of these on Instagram, but people really don't focus very much on Instagram. They just kind of go skittering through, and a lot of people were just thinking that these old paintings are mine. They are my paintings, but that they were my original creations, which they are not. They're studies after the masters, as you know. But you get a little more time and attention on YouTube for that sort of thing. So it's a YouTube exclusive. Anyway, we'll have to see. I've always, of course, got stacks of paintings I'd love to make studies after. I did a... oh my gosh, I probably shared it back in October or so. A study I did after John Francis Murphy. It was maybe October or November. It was a 7x10 inch study, and I really enjoyed having that little extra bit of space to explore. And I may do that. I may even revisit some of my favorite, like George Inness's and John Francis Murphy's and Charles Warren Eaton's at the larger size of 7x10. That's kind of what's running through my head. But like I said, these days I barely... once I added the marketing component to my workload, then the painting time becomes even more precious, And I can't say I've been very good about doing the marketing lately. But then again, I was so good for so long that I felt like I got away from the painting, and a balance has to be struck, of course. Nobody gets through this life without some challenges and struggles and a modicum of suffering as well, but I suffer very little, seeing as I have the good fortune of being a painter and doing what I love. Anyway, John Francis Murphy, we've done so many studies. I'm sure I've made a study after every absolutely great John Francis Murphy. This is probably one of the few stragglers I hadn't made a study of, and it is one of his great paintings, I think. In my view, it is. There is a playlist. If you go to my channel and go to the playlist section, you'll see a playlist. This, of course, I won't be adding this probably until I'm done with the series. But I was really on it. I would probably, make sure and add each time. I have, what I'm trying to say is I have a playlist there of studies I've done after George Inness, studies I've done after Charles Warren Eaton, and studies I've done after John Francis Murphy and Camille Corot. And there might be one other guy there who I'm not thinking of right now, but those are the guys. Those are my favorite painters, and those are the guys, the masters that I've done the most studies after. But if you dig my study after John Francis Murphy, tool on over to my channel and check out the playlists. There's probably maybe 14 paintings in that playlist, and at some point, of course, this will be added as well, and as well as the larger one I did back in November. Which I did for a friend, and so yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The next series might be maybe 10, and I really should start thinking about that. Yeah, I should. I have been thinking about it, but only when I sit down and do one of these, which is once a week. So, like I say, I've got a limited amount of time to do that sort of thing in, but I do want to keep the ball rolling. I think a lot of people do get value out of this, and it also, as I've mentioned in the past, it's such a crying shame that there are no real books out there on John Francis Murphy, who was one of the greatest landscape painters ever. There's books out there on Camille Corot, there's books out there on George Inness, there's even books out there on Charles Warren Eaton, and Charles Warren Eaton wasn't really better than John Francis Murphy. I mean, he was great, don't get me wrong, but John Francis Murphy was absolutely great as well, and he deserves a book. And what would be great is there's a really good chapter in the History of American Tonalism by David A. Cleveland. I wish he would do a book on John Francis Murphy, because he's such an amazing writer, and his writing is absolutely astounding and great. And if you don't have that book, by the way, History of American Tonalism, it was a second edition was put out last year. I believe it's still available as a new book. You need to buy it. You just need to pause this video and go over to Amazon and buy that book. I think it's $80, worth every penny. Brilliant color reproductions in there, and the writing is top-notch, and it's the best book on tonalism that has been written, and I have all of them as far as I know. Anyway, you can see we're getting close to the end here. Thank you so much for joining me for day 9 of the Past Master series. I hope you enjoyed this study I made after this wonderful painting, and come back next week for another one of these, but come back next week just to look at my stuff, because I'm going to be putting out some really awesome stuff coming up. Anyway, see you again real soon. Meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.